What's up? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit that like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this beautifully honest reaction.
Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes, don't let it fall on me. Say you're a good guy, make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it, I wanna see it. See how rewind, when we rewind, feels so nice.
So, yeah. Diddy has definitely had some sort of victory because he's definitely not going to be serving life in prison. As I told you guys earlier, I talked about it a little bit, and here we go. They have announced the verdict. He has been found not guilty on the major charges, but he has been still remanded into custody. He is not released on bail. The judge denied that, declined to release him on bail, and he's being held until sentencing. I'm not sure when sentencing is going to be, and we don't know what the sentence is going to be, but let me just go ahead and share my screen because I want to just share the news. I know there's a lot of content creator reaction, a lot of content creators that were at the courthouse from day one that have been reporting all of the nitty gritty details. And that's cool and all of that. But I'm going to share video with you guys from ABC News. And they share some of the reaction from the family. So I want to go ahead and get into this. So yeah, let's go ahead and begin.
With 34 witnesses and hours of salacious testimony, a jury of 8 men and 4 women finds Sean Diddy Combs not guilty of racketeering and sex trafficking, but guilty on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. The judge is currently deciding right now whether Combs will actually be released today. His defense arguing that since the music mogul was acquitted of the most serious crimes, he should be able to go home.
Well, that didn't happen. As we are right now, the judge has said no, he's going to be remanded into custody. He is not going to be released on his recognizance or on bail. He can just continue to keep his butt locked up until the sentence is happening. And I really did not expect that to happen, especially since so much had went on prior to this trial where they did not release him on bail. So I didn't feel just because he was not found guilty on the major charges, but found guilty on some of the lesser charges that they were going to release him on bail. I didn't believe that was going to happen, but you never know because even some of this is still a little bit of a shock. And I know that there's some people that are highly upset, highly offended, taking it personal. Look, I don't have a dog, a cat, family member, friend, or anything involved in the situation. It doesn't affect my life one way or the other, but I still believe that more is to come in his life with regards to just all of the dirt and stuff that he's done. But I wasn't here saying that he needs to be locked up forever or anything like that, because the fact of the matter is the case really wasn't that strong, especially with the witnesses that they had come up to the stand. But let's continue.
Once court was adjourned, family members cheered today's verdict. Combs' son, Christian, telling ABC News how happy he is.
Yeah, we love y'all. We love everybody watching. So happy. Pop's coming home. God bless. God bless the whole world.
What was going through your head when the verdict was read? Happy.
Joining me now, Rena Roy, just outside court, legal contributor Bernardo Villalona, and also senior entertainment reporter Kelly Carter. All right, Rena, do we have any update on whether the judge will decide to release Combs at this hour?
Kira, no decision quite yet from the judge. Just a couple of minutes ago, though, I can tell you we saw the Combs family van pull up to court once again, presumably to hear this decision on whether or not Combs will be released. The deadline that the judge gave both the prosecution and the defense just passed a couple of minutes ago. They were set to turn in their letters at 1 p.m. So for the last couple of hours, they've been working on their cases, both sides, for and against his release. The defense wants to see Combs walk out of those golden doors here behind us. They say that because he was acquitted of the more serious charges here, that he should go home and be with his family. The prosecutors have argued that he's a flight risk, and they say that he is still facing up to 20 years in prison on these lesser charges. They are arguing he should be held until his sentencing, Kira.
So, Bernarda, if Combs does stay in custody, how much jail time do you expect he would actually serve?
So in terms of if the judge does decide that Sean Combs remains in custody pending sentencing, the judge will ultimately determine what his sentence is. So you have to think that the sentencing is not going to take place in another week or two. We're talking about months from now that the sentence will take place. And in terms of all the time that he's already been in custody, he's going to get credit for that time. So no matter what amount of sentence the judge sentences him to, he'll get credit for about the 9 months that he has been in custody. Yes, he faces a maximum of 10 years on each of those counts. Highly unlikely that this judge is going to max Sean Combs out. He can give him probation, he could give him time served, or give him something more of a year, 2 years, or even 3 years on each of the counts.
So, Kelly, how does this verdict impact Combs' legacy as an entertainer, as a music mogul moving forward, do you think?
I think it does impact his legacy because we have to talk about this in addition to talking about his 3 decades as being a pop culture icon. You know, this is a human who has touched every facet of business, of industry, you know, politics.
Look at and this is not funny, I'm not laughing at it, but look at the artist rendering of the video of him dragging Cassie in the hallway. It's eerie, it's chilling. And although when this video that they did was recorded, the judge did not make a decision on whether he was going to release him on bail, that since has been denied. And so Cassie's team, her lawyers, they wrote a letter to the judge asking that he not be released on bail. So I do believe that that the judge did take their requests under consideration. And it wasn't just because, he was found not guilty on the more serious charges. I do believe that the judge took their requests under consideration with regards to why he declined to release him on bail. Because people are like, well, he wasn't on trial for abuse. He wasn't on trial for what he did to her in that hallway. And she already got her money. But like I was saying in my earlier video talking about this situation, there are just laws of life where it's like you need to pay the piper. And Cassie may have gotten a payout, but there's civil and criminal penalties for things. And I still believe in a number of ways that she was a victim. I know a lot of people want to feel like because of the stuff that was going on, she wasn't a victim, but she was. I'm not going to honestly put her in the same category as Jane Doe, but I do believe that his intent in the beginning, seeking her out, her being the prey, he was the predator, and all of the different things that he did, I do believe that he groomed that, that woman now. Yeah, she's a woman, but at the point in time, she was a young woman. But unfortunately, a lot of people are just looking at her as where she is in life right now, and that, she was just using him for a come up. He did a lot of terrible things. And so I just believe that it would be a big mistake if he just gave Diddy time served or probation, because with the narcissistic personality that this monster has, that would be like that honestly would be detrimental, because I don't believe that anything in him has been humbled and he would show any type of humility if he just gets released, because he'll just come out. There's, you can't charge him for the same things again, because there's, double jeopardy. You can't try someone for the same things that if they were not convicted on them, you can't retry them for those things. So it would just feed that narcissistic monster of, I got off. I'm unstoppable. I'm unbeatable. I'm the man. There's nothing anybody can do, to me. I'm unstoppable. this is my world, and it's just, I don't believe that it has humbled him in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, he may have expressed those moments in the court with pulling out the Bible and doing the heart hand emojis and doing the prayer hands and, doing his little silent prayers while he was in court. But that stuff is fake. But the jury did what they did because unfortunately the prosecution they just did not have a very strong case.
Film, TV, music, Broadway, spirits, fashion, but we also now have to talk about this case and the role that plays and that legacy. And I think it's significant because unfortunately people are going to be able to unhear some of that testimony that they read, and they're most certainly going to be able to unsee that video footage from that 2016 Intercontinental incident between him and Cassie Ventura. And I think that that's going to be part of the conversation moving forward.
And Rena, has there been any reaction from prosecutors or witnesses so far on the verdict?
Yeah, well, Kira, prosecutors say that they are going to fight for substantial prison time for Sean Combs. It remains to be seen what that looks like, but they did release a statement earlier today thanking the alleged victims in this case for coming forward, saying it's not easy to share those harrowing stories. And we know that the prosecution's star witness was Cassie Ventura, Combs' ex-girlfriend. Her attorney spoke outside of court shortly after the verdict, and he says that he's proud of her courage. He says that she is in a good place and she's happy with this outcome. Take a listen.
The reaction is that we're pleased that he's finally been held responsible for 2 federal crimes, something that he's never faced in his life. He still faces substantial jail time. Of course, we would have liked to have seen a conviction on the sex crimes in RICO, but we understand beyond a reasonable doubt is a high standard, and we're just pleased that he still faces substantial jail time.
He also credits her for paving the way for other alleged victims to come forward. Remember, Combs is still facing more than 6 civil lawsuits, so his legal troubles are far from over, Kira.
So yeah, there's still a lot of civil lawsuits, and with the civil lawsuits, it's just the preponderance of the evidence. It's not beyond a reasonable doubt, and yeah, that's just money. They can't lock him up for those things, but his legacy is completely destroyed. So to see the people celebrating and cheering, of course, his family was, all happy. And I guess, I understand it's their dad. It's, his mom's son. It's it's the guy that they know. They don't really know the monster that he has been to other people. But to see people celebrating it like it's their family, it's gross. I just want to share this with you guys because when I saw this, I was like, see, it's always got to be some ninjas that will do some stuff like this. All right, so yeah, check this out. I'm not going to play the sound. Now, what is this? People outside celebrating, shirts off, baby oil. They said not the freak off outside the courthouse. Diddy fans caught slipping, sliding, and oiled up after he beats major charges. Ridiculous. What? Oh my gosh. Just stupid, all right? And when I first saw this, I was like, is this Armand Wiggins? I don't know. It looks like Armand Wiggins. I could be wrong. I hope it's not. I don't think it is. I actually am not going to say that that was him. But I could be wrong, but it looks like Armand Wiggins. All right, that's enough of that. Listen, guys, I just don't believe that this is cause for celebration. I don't ever understand. I get it when it comes to the justice system. It's not fair to overall to African American people, but we also have to remember, especially these days and times, the justice system is not about race. It's about the only color it's really about is about the green, the money, the money. So Diddy has the privilege and the money. It's not really about his race. So all these people that we're talking about, oh, what about his history? What about his legacy? They always want to come down hard on the black man, blah, 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 blah. How about the black man just do right? Instead, and I'm not saying being a freak is against the law. Of course, that is not. But a lot of the things that he did, it would, if he was just doing the right thing, it never would have led up to what happened. I do believe that Cassie's civil lawsuit and also Little Rod's civil lawsuit opened up Pandora's box for them to do these investigations. So I just believe that unfortunately, because of how powerful he was and probably still is in a lot of ways, it was just a really hard press to get like just real hardcore witnesses who was around to witness a lot of this stuff that have some level of name or fame or something that would be more credible to come out and speak on the court, stand and testify against him. So unfortunately, when you have people like Cassie, who a lot of people don't see as a victim, in a lot of ways she was a victim, but in some ways she did benefit from the lifestyle and continue to live it. And yeah, the mental thing, all of that stuff, I do believe is real. Stockholm syndrome is a real thing. Absolutely, it is. But because of how many times she had left and come back, it was just making it not seem like a strong case where people are really defining kidnapping and forced, forced activities, we'll just put it like that, and the like. And so because of how much she had went through and also unfortunately how much she had kind of accepted, it was not really making her look like a victim. So she wasn't the strongest witness, but she was, out of all of them, one of the strongest. So that says a lot, where it just wasn't that strong, unfortunately, of a case when it comes to the witnesses. The other chick, Jane Doe, tragic witness, tragic. And then the other one, Gina, who I talked about earlier, hanging out in the Whole Foods parking lot talking to TMZ, all that time, the prosecution was saying they couldn't find her. They couldn't find her because she didn't want to be found. She's still being taken care of by, by Diddy. And she probably had a feeling, yeah, he's going to get off, so I ain't going to say anything else about him. I already did my bid on the Tasha K platform. I probably got a few licks here and there after that. And then I'm just going to continue to comply because he's supplying me with a lifestyle that I could never get on my own or with someone else. So I'm just going to stick beside him. And, the other ones that were employees, it was just a hard thing because some people don't get the dynamics of blackballing in that industry. And so them coming back to work for him or speaking highly of him after they've left, it was for self-preservation. It wasn't because he was a good guy. So it was just a hard case to bring against someone like him, unfortunately. It just was. It just was. So I believe, unfortunately, the prosecution was just in over their head as this case rolled along. And I was listening to things and I was just shaking my head and it's like, man, I just thought it was going to be stronger. I just thought they just really had a real strong, heavy hitting case. But all of the stuff about baby oil and the freak offs and the paid escorts and all this other stuff, it was just like, this is just a freaking orgy freak show situation that a lot of people just don't even want to hear about. I know I didn't want to hear about it, but I, feel like for him, he's feeling like it's really a win, but they did not release him today. So right now it's not really a win, but to see the idiots celebrating and cheering it on, blasting his music and whatever, free puff and all this other stuff, it's like, that's the type of stuff I just can never get behind. I didn't do it many years ago when OJ got off. I just didn't understand that, but people are going to do what they're going to do. And when it comes to the justice system and Black people, a lot of people feel like, well, if somebody who has a big name and they're Black, they so-called quote unquote beat a case, it's a win for the entire community, but it's not. because you don't have the status and the name and the fame and the money that they have. So, first of all, you would not be in the same spaces and places that Diddy would be. But if you found yourself in terrible situations when it comes to the law, you're not going to be treated the same. So save it. It's not a win for the African American community. That's a win, so called win for him, for his family, for his life. Because, yeah, he might wind up losing a whole lot more money and has had to pay a whole lot of money. But that just goes to show you the cost of freedom. Freedom is expensive. And I believe that someone like him, he would much rather be free and broke than to be in prison for the rest of his life. So if it takes him having to lose it all and just to have his freedom, in some way, shape, or form, he would start to enjoy his freedom and appreciate it. But because of the narcissistic ways that he has, it would somehow start getting to him, and he'd try to figure out other ways to make it. But yeah, he may lose a lot financially, but I don't think that he's going to be broke. Bill Cosby had all those civil cases and all of the other stuff, but I don't hear about him filing bankruptcy or being put out in the streets or whatever. He's still living his life. So Diddy will be fine once all of this blows over. But I'm glad that the judge did take heed to Cassie and Cassie's legal team's request to keep him in prison. I saw that Aubrey was reacting, saying she was feeling ill and sick or whatever. I don't even understand why she keeps talking about him, honestly, because it's like, girl, you haven't dealt with him since you were in Danity Kane. And how long ago was that? And she has been running her mouth a lot. I don't have an issue with her telling her story or speaking her what they call her truth, but you had to know even before he was charged or whatever, you was talking about stuff. So if you feel like your life is in danger and you need to move to another country now that he did not get found guilty on the most serious charges, then maybe you shouldn't have been talking about it in the first place, because you've been talking a lot before all of this. I really don't think that Diddy has her on his radar, her of all people, like at this point in time, because I don't think she sued him. Don is the one that's suing him right now, and that's a civil case. And I do hope things work out for Don, because I don't believe Don was lying. I know she got a lot of flack for her testifying, and they were saying that she did not do a good job. But I just believe that Don might be like people who are really smart, but when it comes to test taking, they don't do well with taking a test. It doesn't mean that they're not smart. It doesn't mean that they didn't know the content or know the answers to the questions. It's just the anxiety of taking a test. There are some people where they have that anxiety when it comes to situations like this. And I can't even imagine how how heavy she was breathing, or how hard her heart was beating, or how fast it was racing, being under that type of pressure and anxiety with this man that she saw as a monster, and she knows the things that she had been through with him, sitting there at that table staring her down while she's testifying and trying to let people know what happened. I don't think Donna was lying at all, but a lot of people didn't feel that her testimony was strong, and apparently the jurors didn't either. So with all of that, being said, he has been found not guilty on the major charges, but still on the lesser charges, they each carry a penalty of up to 10 years. So he's still facing 20 years. Do I believe he's going to get the 20 years? I don't. But I honestly am hopeful that the judge is not going to say, oh, well, you know what? You've been in jail for 9, 10, 11 months at this point. We'll just go ahead and let you out for Christmas time serve, and we'll give you probation or home detention, because home detention is for him. It's not like he's going to be in the projects. Like, come on now. I don't believe that it would be fair to do that. And I know some people feel like, well, hey, they're all consenting adults, and if he paid for some prostitutes and they cross state lines and whatever, it shouldn't be against the law. Well, it is. It is. So we'll see what the judge does when it comes to the sentencing. It's not going to be tomorrow. I don't believe sentencing is going to be until maybe like a month or two from now, maybe two, maybe 3 months. But yeah, we'll see what the judge says. But he is going to be held in that jail until sentencing. So honestly, it could go either way. It could be a good thing for him where the judge is just going to allow him to stay in there longer and then say, okay, time served. And I'm going to go ahead and just let you be on probation for 10 years, supervised for the first 5 years, and then the next 5 years unsupervised or whatever. But we'll see. I want to know what you guys think. So let me know in the comments what you think about what the kids had to say, what you think about Diddy. He actually told the kids, he like mouthed back to them, I'm coming home. And what do you think about the idiots outside the court doing an impromptu freak off? Stupid people. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.